I started 5 side hustles and only one was worth it. And that one now brings in over $42,000 per month. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly what worked, what flopped, and what I'd never waste time on again. So you can skip the trial and error and fast track to what actually makes money online. So if you're thinking of starting a side hustle, this video is going to be your shortcut. So let's dive in. This video is sponsored by .store, but more on them later. So there was a time before I had built several successful businesses when I did not know what I was doing. I was trying a bunch of different side hustles. I was grasping at straws. I was trying to get something to work. And what I did know was that I wanted to be able to make more money. I wanted to be able to quit my minimum wage job at a Shell gas station, quit living with my grandmother, move to the other side of the state to move in with my boyfriend, and actually start a career. Not only because I had a ton of debt to pay off, especially from college, but also because I actually had just dropped out of college and was really excited to just get started in my career, but I didn't exactly know what that was other than I wanted to start my own business. See, when I dropped out of college, it was 2007, 2008, and there were not a ton of jobs available. And at the time, I remember looking at that as a super negative, which don't get me wrong, it definitely was. But now that I look back, I'm actually grateful for that because it pushed me to start my own thing. It pushed me to try different side hustles to find what my thing was. And yes, it was frustrating to have to try a bunch of different things to figure out what that was. And I had to try over 5 different side hustles just to find one that actually worked. But I'm grateful that I found one that worked, super happy with how it went. And so I'm going to break these all down for you. Oh, and a little bit of a spoiler alert, I was able to pay off our almost $200,000 in debt because of this side hustle, including medical debt, credit card debt, and both mine and my husband's student loan debt as well. So no, I'm never going to say that starting a side hustle or a business is easy. If it was, everyone would have a successful business, right? It's not easy, but I will say that it's worth it. I'm super glad that I decided to do it. I'm super glad that I pushed through all those hard days, and I'm super thankful to my past self for where I am today. And by the way, if you want to take my totally free on-demand workshop to learn how I grew my own following, created a digital product, and sell it on autopilot, then go ahead and register for this free on-demand workshop. It's the first link in the description below this video. One of the lessons I learned in business is that no matter what side hustle you're pursuing, you build instant credibility when you own your own website with your own domain. And that's where today's sponsor comes in. When you build your business's site using a .store domain, it actually helps you sell more. Seriously, an industry study found that websites on a .store domain get 87% more traffic and rank twice as high on Google. Why? Because when people see .store, they instantly know you're selling something. No confusion, straight to the point. That's why brands like Mr. Beast, Rihanna, and over 1.5 million other sellers use .store domains. And right now, because .store is sponsoring this video, you can grab your own .store domain for just 99 cents using code MOLLY. Sure, you could use another registrar like GoDaddy or Namecheap, but this 99-cent deal, it's only available through my link in the description below. Plus, when you get your .store domain, you'll unlock free access to Elevate.store, plus a curated hub of tools for online sellers like Canva, Shopify, AutoDS, and more. Everything you need to start and scale your online business, even if you're brand new. So click the link below, use code MOLLY, and get started today. All right, so side hustle number 1 was trying to sell resin jewelry on Etsy. Now, this one, spoiler alert, did not really work out, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed making resin jewelry. I think I learned a little bit about, how to make a listing online, and I did get some sales. I did get some reviews. So I do think that not only for me were the failed side hustles still worth it because I learned a lot, but I think that that's a good lesson to carry with you throughout any side hustles and any learning lessons you make with your business in general. So for me, the biggest thing with the resin jewelry is I quickly realized I don't have time to be running this entire business, making sales, doing the marketing, all of that stuff, like the listings, packaging, shipping, everything, and actually making the jewelry. And it wasn't even priced that much because I'm competing with, cheap resin jewelry from like Claire's Walmart online, etc. There's also a ton of competition on Etsy as well. So I quickly realized I don't think this is a very good scalable business model that's going to bring me enough money and pretty much any free time. So that one was pretty quick for me to kind of move on from. But again, you'll kind of notice a pattern here that any mistakes or failures I've made in business or along my journey, I don't don't really view them as that. I view them more as learning lessons. And I find that this is a really useful and needed mindset to have to actually succeed in business. Okay, the next one was taking product photos for other businesses. So what I thought to myself was, what skills do I have that I can utilize into a side hustle or a business, right? And I knew that I had experience with photography. I even started doing portraits in high school. I interned in college summers at art galleries. I also studied photography in college. So I knew that I had enough skills under my belt to pursue something in that niche of photography. But what I didn't have was any connections, really much of a marketing background at all. So what I did was I was like, well, I need money. I'm making minimum wage at a gas station. I have 81 cents in my bank account. I don't really have a lot to lose here. So I just thought to myself, where can I add value in the marketplace? And I thought, well, there's business owners out there that honestly aren't even online yet. This was back in like 2008, somewhere around there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is not a city that at least at the time was moving super quickly with technology. So I knew that a lot of local businesses weren't even online. Their websites were super outdated if they even had a website. So what I did was I went and I literally knocked on doors. I went to a part of town that had a bunch of business owners. There was like a cake decorator, a florist, different small businesses. I literally knocked on the doors. I went in, I asked for the owner or the manager, and I said, hey, are you needing any photos for your website, for flyers, for marketing, for social media? Like, what are you needing photos for? And I would listen to what they said. And if they said they need it for social media, I'd be like, awesome, I can offer that for you. If they said they need it for website, I'd be like, awesome, I can offer that for you. Basically, what I did was I asked them what they needed, what problem they needed solved. And then I decided that I was going to solve that problem for them. And I was going to repeat back to them, why, yes, I do those types of photos. So for example, there was a cake decorator and she had a bunch of like model fake cakes. And she was like, I want photos of these to put on my website so that brides can choose which type of cake they want for their wedding. And so I said, okay, great. Well, this will bring you more business. So what is this worth to you? What would you pay to have photos of all of these models of cakes that you can easily put onto your website? And she said $200. So I said, awesome. That's exactly what I charge, $200. So I went and I took the cake photos for her. It only took me maybe like an hour, but then of course I had to go home, do the editing, the uploading, all that stuff. But still, to get started, $200 to me when I was making, $7 an hour at that Shell gas station was a lot of money to me. And more importantly, I was like, this is a really cool proof of concept. However, what I quickly learned was every business I went to, they weren't really willing to spend any more money. And it did grow in the amount of time that it was taking me over time. So it was like an hour to take the pictures, an hour to edit, maybe an hour for like customer service back and forth, getting them the photos, answering any questions. So 3 hours for $200, it might sound amazing, but when you have to factor in the cost to run a business, paying taxes, buying camera gear, the time that it's taking you to actually knock on doors, actually find clients, like not every single door you knock on is going to actually do it. So I was like, okay, well, now I have a portfolio of images. Now I have some experience. I can get some reviews from these business owners. So this is a great place to start, but I don't think that this is like the best side hustle or the best business. So then what I thought to myself was, okay, well, what if I go into weddings, right? Like there's this huge demand for weddings. People will spend thousands of dollars on their wedding photography. That surely will be a much better business model where I can actually bring in, 6 figures in revenue and be able to pay myself like a decent salary, right? But for me, after shooting hundreds of weddings, driving all over the state, even flying to places like Hawaii to shoot weddings, and noticing that people's budgets were really somewhere around $1,000 to $3,000 per wedding, keep in mind, this is like back in 2010. I thought to myself, okay, well, if I shoot for 6 hours and I'm making $3,000, that's pretty good, right? But most weddings actually ended up being like 16-hour days because you have to drive to the location, you have to set up, you have to get everything ready. A lot of times you have to hire a second shooter because what if you sprain your ankle? What if you get sick? What if you can't show up to the wedding? Like it's also just really stressful because what happens if your SD card in your camera goes corrupt and you lose someone's wedding files? Honestly, I think shooting weddings was the most stressful gig I've ever had. I would not go back to it personally. Like it did make me a better photographer. I got a lot of experience working with clients, doing posing, taking photos, editing, uploading, all that stuff. Again, all of these were great learning experiences, but this was definitely not worth it in terms of something that I could continue doing just because again, it really was super long days. Most of the time I wouldn't even have time to go to the bathroom. A lot of the wedding couples would forget to add me to the food list. It just wasn't something that I found very enjoyable or very sustainable. The other thing to mention is weddings are often on what day of the week? Saturday. And so I found myself having to tell family members that I couldn't go to their weddings, or close friends that I couldn't go to their weddings because I already had a wedding on the books. People book weddings 1 to 2 years in advance. They sign a contract with you. You can't exactly just be like, oh, sorry, my best friend's getting married. I can't make it to your wedding anymore. So for me, like lifestyle wise, it's just a really hard gig. Like my heart goes out to wedding photographers everywhere. If you're hiring a wedding photographer, like treat them well. Like it is not honestly an easy job. I have found it to be one of the hardest ones that I've done. And also a little side story, there have been a number of weddings that I've been driving home to or driving to the wedding where I've had to literally like dodge a tornado, listen to the weather as I'm driving. I've had to pull over in ditches. There is so much that goes into it, like weather, second shooter, camera gear, making sure everything works. You don't even know what the lighting's going to be like or what the situation's going to be like at all. So it's definitely a very challenging gig. Okay, then fast forward, I ended up going into portraits and boudoir photography, and I was able to build a multiple 6-figure business. But I did quickly realize that there was an income ceiling to that. I could only make as much money as I had time to trade for that money. And at the same time, I had other photographers asking me, how did you build a multiple 6-figure business? And so I started doing a little bit of coaching. I did some one-on-one coaching. I had some clients fly in or drive to my studio. I was able to show them the ropes of like, this is how we run the studio. This is how we get clients. This is how we do the editing. You know, I actually had a team. I had an editor. I had someone who did front desk. I had a second photographer in my studio, and coaching was fun and it was good additional money. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm already maxed out on time running my studio. Doing the coaching just made my life more stressful, and it didn't add like a ton more money because it wasn't scalable. So that was also a hustle that just really was not for me. I was trying to find something that would be more scalable, that I would be able to grow more, that wasn't me directly trading my time for money. Okay, so enter the final side hustle, the one that was worth it. And that is educational digital products. So when I was a photographer, I went to a women's business conference in the city in Wisconsin that I was living in. There was a woman there who was like, have you heard about these digital products? You can sell them an unlimited number of times. And I was like, I decided to take everything I was teaching in coaching. I made ebooks, courses, and I was able to, over 6 years, grow that to a $2 million business. That is something that would have required a large team, small margins, maybe even franchising with a photography business to make that kind of money. But with digital products, not only was it great for me and my lifestyle to be able to earn more income and work less, but it was also amazing for me to be able to help a lot of people. We were able to help over 10,000 photographers. We literally had photographers all around the world taking our educational materials. It's incredibly fulfilling. I love teaching and selling digital products. I love being able to help people. I love being able to make more education more accessible online, that is affordable, that can reach lots of people in different countries. It is just so amazing. So that to me was the one side hustle that was totally worth it. Let me know below, which of these side hustles are you interested in most? Or let me know, have you done one of these, or what side hustles have you done that you liked or didn't like? Go ahead and let's discuss it in the comments below. And by the way, if you want my complete list of all 54 different types of digital products so you can know which one you should sell online, go ahead and download it completely for free. It's in the link in the description below this video. And by the way, if you're wondering if you can sell digital products, you absolutely can. You might be thinking, well, I don't have a niche. I don't have a story like Molly does. First of all, you can go create that story, right? That's the only way that you get a story, right? But also, I guarantee you that there is something that you've done for yourself that you can help others with, or something that you have helped others with that maybe you just haven't tapped into yet. It doesn't have to be some big, grandiose, life-changing thing. It could be as simple as meal prep, right? So really dig deep and ask yourself, like, what is something that I've done for myself that has really transformed my life or other people's lives that I could share online? And again, this does not need to be some Albert Einstein idea. You just need to know about 10% more than who you're helping, and you need to think about what's a transformation that you can help them get. Now that you know the one side hustle that was actually worth it, you might be wanting to create and sell your very own ebook in 24 hours or less, but how do you do that? Well, it all starts with watching this video next here, because when you pair what you just learned with what's in this video, it's going to be way more powerful. See you in the next video.